In this video, I'm going to be going over the biggest cultural and everyday differences that surprised me the most whilst I was in the US for 6 weeks, fully immersing myself as much as I possibly could in the US culture. I went to several different states, I did several different things within those states, and I even took a 2-month detox from my regular usual uploads where I upload daily, just for the purpose of immersing myself. As you guys that are new to the channel, I go by the name of JayFlex, and I'll be know that this isn't my usual type of video. I actually do daily reactions where I react to all sorts of things. The premise of it being where I let my curiosity wander and take me on so many different, paths that I probably never would have experienced if it wasn't for a lot of you guys pointing me in these directions. As a young Brit in my 20s, just trying to figure out life. So look, if you're new to this channel and you want to join me on this journey of curiosity where I discover completely new things, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you don't miss this roller coaster of a ride. And look, I haven't been posting for a while, guys, so I'm gonna need you guys to help me get back into the algorithm by liking this video. Let YouTube know that you're enjoying these videos. It'll be great to support the channel as well. Enough jibber jabber, let's get straight into this video. Let's go. Alright guys, as I go through these summarized bullet points that I have here with me, just bear in mind that this isn't in order of the thing that shocked me the most. This is just the top things that shocked me. So just to clarify. Number 1 on the list is tipping culture. Now, this is something that I was semi-aware of before I came to the US. But then to actually go to the US for the length of time that I did and just see how prominent it is in the culture and the everyday, this is something that really shocked me. If you guys, well, for those of you guys that aren't from the UK, tipping culture isn't nowhere near as much of a thing as it is in the US. I mean, usually when you go to a restaurant, at the end of the bill, they have this thing called service charge that is added to the bill and is kind of included in the tip, which you can take off, like it is optional. And even within the service charge that they add, which is like our tip, for many places, and I'm not sure if this is all restaurants, some might be a bit different, but I know in many places they share that service charge amongst the employees that are working there, the waiters and the waitresses. And yeah, like, if you don't tip, it's not even going to be seen as something to scoff at. It's you're not gonna be having to watch your back on the way out of the restaurant before some chef dashes a dagger at you or some waiter dashes a fork at you. It's not much of a thing at all in the UK. Whereas when I went to the US, it's so much of a thing. From what I came across, it seemed like 15% is like a standard tip and 20% is like a good service, like a good tip. And then anything above that, at that point, you might as well just be saying you want to chuck your money at the waiter because, you're just feeling generous. Thankfully, though, when I did go, I had people around me that were from the US who basically put me on game before I even made that sort of mistake. But so I'm grateful to those guys because, if it wasn't for that, I probably could have ruffled some feathers. But tipping in the US is way more of a thing. And it definitely seems like it's expected as well. And that's in most places, right? So, and whereas in the UK, it's like, yeah, like it doesn't matter where you go, tipping isn't really a thing like that. Unless you're feeling very, very generous. And even then, it's on rare occasions. Number 2 on the list is portion sizes. Guys, we gotta talk about this. Wherever they're serving you, the portion sizes in the US are absolutely massive. Like a large in the UK, from what I've realized, is really like a medium in the US. And that is something that I wasn't truly aware of when I came to the US. I was actually really shocked. And again, I did the mistake of taking my UK mindset to the US, thinking that when I order large, this is like the amount that they kind of expect you to finish. Like, like most portions are in the UK, which are like more controlled. Like it's for like the average person, like what can they, eat, And I'm someone that likes to order large size portions. So you can imagine that when I did that mistake in the US, oh gosh, best believe once beaten twice shy. I never made that mistake again. Because I'm big on like, I try not to waste food when I eat it. Even if I like, have food I don't like as much, I'll still try and finish it. If I put it on my plate, I'm gonna finish it. Especially because I grew up in a Nigerian household. As much as I grew up and I was raised in the UK, I grew up in a Nigerian household where we're taught to finish the food on your plate. You better not think about getting off that dinner table if there's even like the littlest crumb there. You better finish that. And on top of that, you better not think about taking your plate to the kitchen if you haven't finished that plate. Like, you know, you might as well go back and sit down. Right, that's the mindset I'm used to. So when I took that mindset into these US meals, I just was defeated, because as hard as I tried, like I was hunched back, like hunched over my food, like just deep in my life going, I'm not gonna finish this, and I'm gonna have to waste this food. And I was like really just going through my whole life thinking the way I was raised, like I don't want to give off the wrong impression. And luckily, like I said before, I had people around me that saw me struggling to finish this and go, like my trusted, you know, Americans, they came to me and they were like, you know, you don't have to finish that, right? And you know, we don't expect you to finish it. Like, these portions, like, are just supposed to, like, you know, be for enough to fill you, and then you're supposed to take the rest home. Like, you don't have to finish it, or you just leave it, right? You don't have to take it, you can just leave it. Like, it's not going to be seen as, like, frowned upon. Like, that was something that shocked me. And it wasn't like it was just one place. It was like every place that I went to, I had to quickly adjust to the portion sizes there. Like, I don't know how you guys eat that. If you guys are eating full-size meal, large meals in the US, like, hey, props to you, because that is insane to me to think about. Like, I truly got humbled whilst I was there. And you guys let me know, like, do you guys finish your, like, larger portions? You and my Americans that are watching this, I would love to know. And number 3 on this list is the customer service. Now, this is one of those shocking cultural differences that I was actually pleasantly surprised by, because the US customer service is, like, way better than UK customer service, in my opinion, right? Having seen both. Like, in the US, like, Americans just tend to be way more upbeat and attentive and caring and considerate, like especially me, because I'm not used to that. Whereas in the UK, it's like way more chilled and reserved, and for the most part, like, especially when it's a rainy day and it's the gloomy skies that we're used to, most of the time you're just gonna get people that just can't be asked to do the extras. Like, they're gonna do the bare minimum, and you understand it, and you don't expect them to do more than that. On top of that, it's like, it's just that kind of, I'm not gonna get mad if you're not doing the most, and I know you're not gonna. It's like, we expect it. You know, you'll be rare. It'll be rare to see, you know, get customer service where they're really cracking a smile or, like, being really enthusiastic, unless you're, like, going to, like, you're getting really premium service, or you're going to, like, a really high-end restaurant, you know, where there's, you're it's kind of more expected. You're paying for that kind of extras, you know, and they do it there. At least that's been my experience in the UK. You know, maybe some will differ, but it's to say, when I went to the US with that UK, like what I'm used to in the UK, I was like, it generally felt like I was getting treated like nobility. Like, I felt like, you know, I was like part of the royal family at that point. Like, this, I felt like I was getting special treatment. Like, for a second, it was so good to the point where I started to like I was struggling to understand why these people were so nice to me. I was thinking, like, are they are they a subscriber? Like, are they a flexer? Like, do they know me already? Have they seen my videos? Because I was thinking, like, why are they so nice? Like, and it wasn't even just like I wasn't even in like a bougie restaurant, or I wasn't getting like bougie service. Like, I was in like a standard typical restaurant. Like I went to several restaurants and it was pretty much standard. Like, even in the ones that weren't as good, they were still way better than the ones that I'm used to in the UK. Like, back here, you'll be lucky if they cracked a smile that even looked real. Like, I'm like, the grass is just greener over there, man, when it comes to the customer service. Like, and now I'm looking at the customer service here and I'm just like, just take me back, man. But I'm sure some of you guys watching this who are probably more used to that standard, or it probably doesn't even feel like over the top to you. I'd love to know what you think about that as well. Like, my Americans watching this, like, is it that it's fake, or do people actually care more? Like, that's something I'm also curious about. Number 4 on the list is driving size. Of course, like, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Of course, in the US, you guys drive on the right side of the road, and in the UK, I'm used to driving on the left side of the road, which is the correct side to be driving on, in my opinion. Yeah, that one took a little bit of adjusting to. Like, there was so many times where I kept walking towards the left side of the car, assuming I'm coming from behind. I'd walk to the left side of the car thinking I'm going to sit in the passenger seat, and I kept opening the door to see the driving wheel, and I was like, oh gosh, like, I had to keep readjusting, or I had to adjust my, like, subconscious habits that I didn't even realize I had. And it got exposed when I went to the US because I kept seeing the driver's wheel, and it kept happening. There was many times where I went out and I kept going to the wrong side of the car, and I had to, like, make a conscious mental shift to go, okay, sorry, wrong side, this side. I have to sit on the right side if I want to sit in the passenger seat. So, but yeah, that took a little bit of getting used to. You'll be surprised at how many times that I had to correct myself whilst I was there. Like at least 20 times. Like it was that bad. Number 5 on the list is accent perception. This one was a big one for me. This is one that I was pleasantly surprised by, because I didn't realize just how much you Americans are infatuated with the way like Brits like me speak, like this particular accent, or maybe there's others as well, but at least the way I spoke, like when I opened my mouth, it was like I had a microphone speaker, you know, because everybody noticed it. Like, you know, it's like I was saying something at max volume, right? And then also it felt like I was like, everywhere I went, every person I spoke to, was like I got the red carpet rolled out for me. People would just treat me really nice. Like I was getting pretty girl treatment. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Everybody's doing nice things for me without even asking. Like, nah, it wasn't even like, it was kind of like that. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but people really like the way that I speak, which makes me even realize that a lot of you guys that watch on my channel, like probably quite a few of you just like hearing my voice, which is really surreal to me, because to me it's just like so normal. You know, this is how I speak all the time. This is how I speak to my friends. But to go to another country and how you speak is something that is like I said, glamorized or like idolized, even fetishized. You know, it's crazy to me. But it also made me kind of feel a bit bad, because I'm like, you know, do you actually like me for me, or do you like me because of the way I speak? You know, like it was kind of like that. Like I also don't like getting treated differently because of something like that. Something that I see as so trivial. There was a lot of people just curious as to, like, you know, how I say certain things and whatnot, and it was like, for me, it was a little bit weird. I was just like, you know, like I said, we all speak, this is how we speak in the world. This is how, like, my accent, like, again, for those of you guys that aren't from the UK, like, my accent, for those of you guys that are wondering, is like a standard London accent with the removal of slang. Like, I speak quite clear Queen's English in a sense, but, like, my English is not even like a posh accent. Like, the posh accent sounds more like, hello, sir, like, what do you want for tea today? Like, it's a little bit more like that, where I'm more kind of, my accent's like more chilled, like more like normal. If that's, like, I don't know if that's a way to explain it. And even then within London, like, again, you know, people use more slang. Some people might use more slang. There's certain dialects, certain accents even within London. And then you got even several accents when you go outside of London. Like, you know, some of you guys may be aware of like a Liverpool accent, like the Scouse accent. You know, like a Birmingham accent or Nottingham, Manchester accent. It's like there's so many different accents, but I guess in the US especially, people aren't as used to it. So you generally feel like you're some exotic creature. Like I felt like I was, you know, almost like I feel like I was like a celebrity. Like, you know, it's like people were just treating me differently based on how I spoke. You know, people's faces would light up, you know, and they would be like, oh my gosh, like, the accent, I love it. Like, where are you from? Or this is for those that didn't know, or those that did know, they'll be like, oh my God, are you British? Like, like, are you British? Like, it was funny to me, but it was cool. And best believe that I was, like, when I was there and I started to realize that, oh wait, the way I speak is like, people like that. Best believe I was speaking the best English I've ever spoken in my life. That's something we got to talk about. And you know, it's funny because on the reverse side, I felt as if, like, if you're American and you come to the UK like with an American accent, like, yeah, it will be kind of like cool because it's different, but it's also a thing of like, people just wouldn't really care as much. Like, you won't get nowhere near the special treatment. Like, you know, people aren't really impressed. So it's interesting how things, like, it's not the same the other way around. All right, the next one on the list is temperature and measurement. Now, again, this one's another self-explanatory one. Like, when I went to the US, like, I had to get used to the degrees. Well, it's not in degrees, it was in Fahrenheit. And I had to keep, like, converting Fahrenheit to degrees just so I can understand how hot things were. So there was that. And then even when I went to the gym, all the weights were in pounds. Like, that was kind of annoying. So usually I'm used to it being in kg. And then, obviously, yeah, everywhere's miles. And in the UK, we do use miles as well. But then it's, like, kilometers is also used more. But then, yeah, other than that, you guys use the Imperial System, and we use the metric. So actually, like, converting things took a little bit to adjust to. But yeah, that one was, yeah, another shock for me. The next one, okay, this next one is an interesting one that I noticed, But we got to talk about the humor slash sarcasm in the US, because that is a lot different to what I'm used to. Like, I remember even how I was joking around with some of my friends that I was making in the US. Like, the way I joked was different compared to how it would be in the UK. Like, in the UK, we're way more dry about our humor. It's way more sarcastic and like subtle. Like, we're not doing too much, and even a lot of the humor can get really dark. But it's like it's not as obvious. Whereas in the US, it's like what's funny there more is like exaggerated, like over the top humor. That's more obvious. So, I found myself when I was making jokes, like, to be funny in a US crowd, like, you got to exaggerate a little bit. You got to be like, oh, so you just don't want to see me live, huh? Like, you just praying on my downfall, man. Like, you must hate me, man. Like, that was the kind of like humor. Whereas in the UK, it would be more like, are you being serious? You really think you can get away with that with your big self? Like, it's just so much more like just, calmer, chill, like, it was subtle. So that was like a little subtle thing that I noticed as well with the humor, comedy. And I think a lot of that is just like how we are as a culture in the UK. Like, the UK just in general is way more reserved than like compared to the US. And especially in London, it's a lot more of that. People are way more just like keep to themselves, and we don't really like gas things up too much. Like, if anything, we're more used to bringing things down and kind of like it's crab in a box mentality. So I can see how that kind of culture in the UK can be reflected in the comedy. Alright, number 8 on the list was another one that really surprised me. It was like another subtle one that I didn't realize that I'd be surprised by. And again, this is one of those ones where it's like you don't realize how much society is different outside of your country. Like, the world isn't the same when you go outside, which is something that seems quite obvious, but like you don't actually really realize until you actually go there, right? When I went to the US, I didn't realize just how much long drives for you guys are like 7 to 8 hours. Whereas in the UK, a long drive is like 2 hours, like plus. Even if you're like an hour away, some people don't even want to be doing those kinds of drives. So that was something that really shocked me and maybe that's probably a big part that has to do with just how big the US is and the way your cities are structured, and you got to like drive more to go certain places. And I guess driving for you is not as much of a thing. Whereas in the UK, like, we pretty much like have lots of transport that can take us places, and we're a lot smaller in size. Like, a 7-hour drive in the UK, like, you're pretty much doing a cross-country drive, like from the bottom of England to damn near the top of England. Like, as in the US, it's like you could drive 7-8 hours chill to go to another state. And a lot of you guys are cool with that. Like, a 3-hour drive is like short to you, and it's just crazy to me to think about, because I'm like, a 3-hour road trip for me is so long. I can't even I wouldn't even want to do that. I'd rather just like I'd rather not. Like, that's just something that surprised me. So some of you guys that I met in the US, like, the way you were talking about how you drive from state to state sometimes, or how far you drove to work, like, I was just like, that's insane to me to think about. But yeah, that's something that I wasn't expecting to be surprised by, but I was definitely surprised by. And the deeper I look into it, it kind of makes sense the more I try to understand why. But yeah, that was a shocker to me. Okay, last but not least, number 9 is the fact that a lot of you Americans don't have passports. That is something that actually surprised me at first. But the more obviously I understood the reasons why, and I spoke to a lot of you guys there, it kind of made sense as to why you don't have passports. But in the UK, like, if you don't have a passport, you're seen as like an outcast. Like, it's like, whoa, how can you not have a passport? It's like not knowing what the words car means. Like, everybody has a car. How could you not know what the word car means? It's like, that's kind of how we look at passports. Like, how can you not have a passport to some degree? I mean, maybe not as much as a car. Like, it's pretty much the point. If you don't have a passport in the UK, it's like, it's weird, right? Whereas in the US, a lot of people don't have passports. If not, I would like to say most of you guys don't. The more I start to speak to a lot of you guys, I start to realize it's because a lot of you guys actually haven't traveled outside of the country, which sounds kind of mad from a UK mindset, because, you know, it's so normal for us to travel within Europe, and to get into these countries you need a passport. So it's like, you know, not having one is like, yeah, seen as more weird. Because you guys haven't traveled outside of the US, a lot of you guys don't really use passports. But then to not travel outside of the US makes sense, because the US is so big. Like, you pretty much got to look at the US like as a whole continent, because even the size of some of your states are bigger than a lot of countries in Europe. And even when you compare the size of the US to Europe, there's not much of a difference in size. Like, if you put the Europe countries as a whole and you put the US, it's like the sizes is actually quite similar from what I've seen. I could be wrong, but the US is huge. So, and then from what I saw, it's like going to another state is like going to another country, and you could just use your ID. So it's like, I can see how you can be an American and not travel outside of the US, because there's so much that the US has, and it's so big, and there's so many different places you could travel to, and there's even within the US, it's like whole different time zones. Like you can, like, I think from like LA to like Cleveland that's probably like a 5-hour time zone difference, which is crazy to me. Like, I could be wrong. But yeah, look, that sums it up for all of the biggest cultural shocks that surprised me, and everyday shocks that surprised me whilst I was in the US. I do have so much more though I need to talk about. Like, this is only like I've got a whole nother list for transportation and the infrastructure that I want to talk about, because I went to Chicago, Cleveland, and Miami, and this is so different. Like, that deserves a whole video in itself. And another one is like food and dining. So everything to do with dining and what that culture is like, because that's so different compared to the UK. And on top of the variety of foods you guys have in the US, like compared to the UK, like that as well is a whole nother list I got to talk about, as well as the education and work life. You know, like the attitude towards jobs, how you guys are with college and the structure, like that's so different. That shocked me. And then I've got, you know, societal norms and identity. Like, we're gonna dive into like gun culture, like in the way politics is more of a thing in the US compared to the UK. It's so much that I've got to get off my chest, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. So stay tuned for these up and coming videos where I dive a little bit more into some of those things that I mentioned. If you made it to this point in the video, make sure you comment down a blue heart so I know who my real ones are. Shout out to you guys that always watch through to the end. I love all you guys. You guys don't realize just how much watching the videos through support my growth on this journey, so I'm very, very thankful. And I guess it also means you enjoyed the video, so don't forget to like the video as well. And if you're not subscribed, just subscribe anyway, because you're gonna get way more of this content and more. And like I always say, this journey of curiosity has taken me to places that I didn't even expect, so you guys aren't gonna want to miss out on that ride, especially as I figure out this mystery of life, right?